Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are diving deep into the fascinating story of the Jefferson Nickel, one of the most iconic and longest-running coins in United States history, a coin that has quietly passed through millions of hands while carrying with it layers of American heritage, artistic debate, wartime sacrifice, and collector fascination. First introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, the Jefferson Nickel was designed by sculptor Felix Schlag after a nationwide competition held by the U.S. Mint, marking a significant shift in American coinage toward realism and historical commemoration. The obverse proudly features a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and principal author of the Declaration of Independence, while the reverse originally depicted Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate and a symbol of intellect, architecture, and Enlightenment ideals. This design choice was revolutionary at the time, because it placed a real American building on circulating coinage with remarkable architectural detail, something rarely attempted before. The coin was composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, giving it durability and a distinct silvery appearance without relying on precious metals, making it practical for everyday commerce during the economically sensitive years leading into World War II. Early Jefferson Nickels from 1938 to 1942 are especially important to collectors because they represent the pure original vision of the design before wartime changes altered the series forever. Mint marks from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco played a crucial role in production numbers, with certain early dates and mint combinations becoming semi-keys due to lower mintages or weaker strikes. The Jefferson Nickel also reflects the broader social and political environment of its era, as the late 1930s were a time when America sought stability and unity following the Great Depression. And honoring Jefferson symbolized democratic values, intellectual strength, and national resilience. Collectors often note that early strikes show sharp steps on Monticello, a feature now known as full steps, which has become one of the most important grading criteria in modern Jefferson nickel collecting. Coins with 5 or 6 fully separated steps command significant premiums today, even for common dates, as they demonstrate exceptional strike quality and preservation. The public reception of the Jefferson Nickel was mixed at first, with some critics preferring the rugged symbolism of the Buffalo nickel, yet over time the clean lines and dignified portrait of Jefferson gained acceptance and eventually admiration, making the coin a staple of American pockets for generations. Beyond circulation, proof versions struck for collectors showcased sharper details and mirrored fields, further enhancing the coin's artistic legacy. As we explore this series further, it becomes clear that the Jefferson Nickel is far more than a simple 5-cent piece. It is a mirror of American history, technological evolution, and numismatic passion, setting the foundation for wartime transformations, rare varieties, era coins, and high-value examples that would emerge in later years and continue to excite collectors around the world. As the Jefferson Nickel moved beyond its introduction years, the series quickly became a canvas for evolving mint technology, changing national priorities, and subtle design refinements that would later define entire collecting subcultures within American numismatics. One of the most overlooked yet crucial aspects of early Jefferson Nickels is the striking quality, as many coins from the late 1930s and early 1940s suffered from weak strikes, especially on Monticello's steps, windows, and columns, a problem caused by the hardness of the nickel alloy and limitations in minting pressure, which is why sharply struck examples are dramatically scarcer than raw mintage figures suggest. This makes condition rarity far more important than date rarity in many cases, especially for collectors chasing full steps designations. During these years, the Philadelphia Mint did not use a mint mark, while Denver and San Francisco placed small D and S marks on the reverse, creating clear distinctions that now guide collectors when assembling complete date and mint sets. The coin's consistent composition also made it a workhorse of commerce, surviving heavy circulation with minimal wear compared to softer silver coins. Yet this durability came at a cost when World War II erupted, as nickel became a critical material for armor plating and military equipment, forcing the U.S. Mint to make unprecedented changes that would permanently alter the Jefferson Nickel's legacy. But even before those wartime modifications, subtle varieties emerged that fascinate collectors today, including double dies, repunched mint marks, and die cracks that reveal the intense pressure and production speed demanded of the mints. One of the reasons the Jefferson Nickel remains so popular among beginners and advanced collectors alike is its accessibility, as many dates can still be found in circulation or purchased affordably in lower grades, while high-end examples in mint state or with full steps can reach thousands of dollars at auction, creating a wide entry point for all levels of numismatic interest. The portrait of Jefferson itself has been the subject of debate, with some critics arguing that Schlag's initial design lacked depth, while others praise its dignified simplicity and historical accuracy. Interestingly, Schlag's original reverse design was modified by the Mint before production, simplifying Monticello and removing certain artistic elements, a decision that disappointed the artist but ultimately produced a more durable design for mass circulation. These compromises between art and practicality define much of American coinage history, and the Jefferson nickel stands as a perfect example of that balance. By the early 1940s, the coin had firmly established itself in American daily life, passing through hands at grocery stores, gas stations, and newsstands, unknowingly setting the stage for one of the most dramatic and collectible transformations any U.S. coin series would ever experience, a transformation driven not by aesthetics, but by war, scarcity, and national necessity. The outbreak of World War II marked one of the most historically significant turning points in the entire Jefferson Nickel series, transforming an already established circulating coin into a wartime artifact shaped by urgency, innovation, and national sacrifice. As the United States entered the conflict, nickel metal suddenly became a strategic resource essential for producing tanks, weapons, and military equipment, forcing the U.S. Mint to take an extraordinary step by altering the coin's composition in 1942, resulting in the famous wartime silver alloy nickels made from 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese, a dramatic departure from the traditional copper-nickel blend that had defined the denomination for decades. This change was not only functional but also symbolic, as it represented the direct involvement of everyday Americans in the war effort through the very money they used daily, to distinguish these new coins from earlier issues and to ensure they could be easily removed from circulation after the war. The Mint introduced an oversized mint mark placed above Monticello on the reverse, the first time in U.S. history that a Philadelphia coin carried a prominent P mint mark, joining the D and S marks from Denver and San Francisco, a small detail that would later become one of the most historically celebrated features in American coinage. These wartime nickels were produced in massive quantities between 1942 and 1945, yet their survival in high grades is far lower than expected due to heavy circulation, melting, and post-war attrition, making fully struck examples especially desirable today. The silver content also caused these coins to tone differently over time, often developing beautiful shades of blue, gold, and gray that are highly prized by collectors, but beauty alone does not define their importance. As these coins circulated during rationing, blackouts, and global uncertainty, passing through the hands of factory workers, soldiers' families, and businesses adapting to wartime economies, the Monticello reverse, once a quiet architectural symbol, now stood beneath a bold mint mark that silently announced America's industrial mobilization, while Jefferson's portrait remained unchanged, serving as a reminder of democratic ideals during a period when those ideals were under global threat. The wartime production also introduced new die varieties, weak strikes, and planchet inconsistencies due to the unfamiliar alloy, adding layers of complexity for modern collectors who study these coins not just as currency, but as historical documents minted under pressure. And while many collectors focus on the silver content as an entry point, seasoned numismatists understand that strike quality, surface preservation, and original luster are what truly separate common examples from elite specimens, making the wartime Jefferson Nickels one of the most rewarding and historically rich segments of the entire series. As World War II ended and the United States transitioned back into peacetime production, the Jefferson Nickel underwent another important transformation that quietly reflected the nation's shift from global conflict to economic rebuilding. Beginning in 1946, the Mint reverted the coin's composition back to the traditional 75% copper and 25% nickel alloy, ending the short but historically powerful era of silver wartime nickels. Yet the post-war years introduced their own challenges, including aging mint equipment, increased demand for circulating coinage, and rapidly expanding commerce, all of which influenced the quality and appearance of Jefferson nickels produced during the late 1940s and early 1950s. These coins often exhibit weaker strikes, particularly on Monticello's steps and Jefferson's hair details, making fully struck examples significantly scarcer than raw mintage figures suggest. During this period, the San Francisco Mint ceased nickel production entirely after 1954, leaving Philadelphia and Denver as the primary sources, a change that would later add historical intrigue to the series. The early 1950s also saw fluctuating mintages as the U.S. economy stabilized, with some dates like 1950 becoming iconic due to low production numbers that instantly elevated collector interest. Meanwhile, the design itself remained unchanged, reinforcing the Jefferson Nickel's role as a dependable workhorse coin rather than a commemorative showpiece. Yet beneath this surface consistency lay subtle differences in die preparation, metal flow, and strike pressure that modern collectors scrutinize closely. As the Mint continued producing millions of nickels annually, most entered heavy circulation, resulting in widespread wear and loss of original luster, which is why surviving uncirculated examples from this era are far more elusive than casual observers expect. These post-war Jefferson Nickels circulated through a booming America, witnessing the rise of suburban life, interstate highways, jukeboxes, diners, and early television culture, becoming silent participants in everyday transactions that defined mid-century life. And while they may lack the silver content or dramatic wartime symbolism of earlier issues, their historical value lies in representing stability, continuity, and economic recovery. A reminder that even ordinary coins can tell extraordinary stories when viewed through the lens of history and numismatics. As the Jefferson nickel moved deeper into the second half of the 20th century, the coin began to develop a reputation that went far beyond its face value, especially among collectors who started to recognize that rarity in this series was not always about low mintage alone, but about condition, strike quality, and subtle die characteristics. One of the most important concepts to emerge was the significance of full steps on Monticello, a detail that separates ordinary examples from truly exceptional ones. The steps at the base of Monticello were often weakly struck due to die wear or insufficient striking pressure, meaning that nickels showing 5 or 6 fully separated steps are dramatically scarcer and exponentially more valuable, particularly for dates from the 1940s through the 1960s. This discovery transformed the way collectors approached the Jefferson nickel, shifting focus from simple date and mint mark collecting to a more sophisticated evaluation of craftsmanship. Meanwhile, the mint itself began making subtle improvements to die preparation and striking methods, yet high-speed production still resulted in inconsistencies, which today serve as diagnostic markers for specialists. During the 1960s and 1970s, the coin witnessed massive production numbers as inflation and population growth demanded ever-increasing quantities of small change. But this era also coincided with declining overall strike quality across U.S. coinage, making premium examples even harder to locate. Another major development occurred in 1965 when the mint removed silver from circulating coinage entirely, reinforcing the Jefferson Nickel's role as one of the last remaining U.S. coins still made from a traditional alloy rather than clad layers, a continuity that preserved its tactile identity and weight in the public's hands. As decades passed, collectors began rediscovering earlier Jefferson Nickels pulled from circulation, examining them for overlooked varieties, doubled dies, repunched mint marks, and transitional errors, each new discovery adding layers of complexity and excitement to a coin once dismissed as common. By the time the late 20th century arrived, the Jefferson nickel had evolved from a humble circulating piece into a series rich with challenges, historical significance, and hidden treasures, proving that even the most familiar coins can reward patience, knowledge, and careful observation. As the Jefferson Nickel series continued into the modern era, its legacy became firmly cemented not only as one of the longest-running designs in United States coinage, but also as one of the most deeply studied by collectors, with attention increasingly focused on key dates, conditional rarities, and dramatic market performances that elevated certain issues into legendary status. Coins such as the 1939D, 1950D, and wartime silver nickels emerged as cornerstones of advanced collections, while high-grade examples with sharp strikes and uninterrupted Monticello steps began achieving record-breaking auction prices, sometimes reaching tens of thousands of dollars for specimens that once circulated freely in everyday commerce. The early 2000s marked another turning point when the mint temporarily altered the design during the Westward Journey series, sparking renewed interest in the entire Jefferson Nickel lineage and encouraging a new generation of collectors to look backward at the classic issues with fresh eyes. This resurgence revealed how many earlier dates had been permanently lost to circulation wear, corrosion, or melting, making surviving premium examples increasingly scarce. Today the Jefferson Nickel stands as a testament to the evolving relationship between American history, art, and commerce, carrying the image of a founding father whose ideals shaped the nation and whose likeness has endured through wars, economic upheavals, and technological change. What makes this coin truly remarkable is that its greatest value often lies not in precious metal content but in preservation, rarity, and the stories embedded in each strike, reminding collectors that extraordinary worth can be hidden within ordinary appearances. Whether discovered in a roll, inherited collection, or auction catalog, the Jefferson Nickel continues to reward curiosity, discipline, and respect for numismatic heritage, standing proudly as a symbol of continuity in American coinage and an enduring favorite among collectors worldwide. Thanks for watching.